Apple just banned the Coinbase wallet from the App Store from not being able to participate in the fees that are generated off the NFT sales. This is huge. Now, the reason why this is huge is basically what Apple is saying is because there are native network fees on, and what this seems to be is Ethereum, but because there seems to be native network fees that Apple's not able to capitalize on within their native payment mechanism within the App Store, within most apps, they're banning it until it can become within compliance, which is a little silly because these fees are native to the network. These fees are within the smart contracts themselves. These fees are dealing in crypto. They're not dealing in fiat. And these applications, these tokens, in a sense, these NFTs that are being sold by third parties, not by Coinbase Wallet. So even if Coinbase Wallet even wanted to, they couldn't, or I guess they would have to put their own fees in ahead for people to participate. But even if Coinbase Wallet wanted to, these fees are being generated by third parties. And if they did, let's say they wanted to and they did, that would mean to buy that same NFT would cost 30% more within Coinbase's wallet or any other wallet on the App Store, or at least Apple's App Store, than it would to buy that same NFT in any other marketplace or any other means of accessing a marketplace, whether it's a website or the native website of this marketplace or NFT, whether it's a Android app. It would be Apple sales of different applications that are on the blockchain that are on Apple will be 30% more than the exact same item on Android because of what Apple's trying to do here. It's absolutely insane. And I don't understand what Apple thinks is going to happen with this, because this would either at the very least make the same application on the blockchain 30% more expensive to interact with Apple, or this just isn't possible because the party they're trying to go after, Coinbase Wallet, isn't the same party that's essentially issuing and collecting the fees. And if they were to get everybody on the same page, they would have to do that with every single app that gets put out on the App Store that interacts with any of these blockchain applications, and every third-party blockchain developer that's on every network that provides a sale of any of these type of tokens, type of sale within a DApp, execution fee within a DApp, or potentially even execution fees within the networks themselves. It is insane to think that Apple can even do anything about this. And that's sort of a weird thing too, because it's entirely the premise of crypto to be able to have an autonomous means of moving value and to have a simple means of, or have a means of being able to exchange value without a central party. And Apple's literally just trying to be that central party. They're doing everything they can to claw and grip onto what they have left. And I genuinely think Apple has dropped the ball on this. If Apple really does kind of fudge this up, and that's the thing, what I do think can end up happening is they may end up giving out exceptions. They have given exceptions to Coinbase in the past for certain fees, and they have given exceptions to different apps. But I think if they don't, or they don't repeal this policy that they have, or they don't change things, right off the bat, the same app, if you were gonna buy a token, if you were gonna engage with an application, if you were gonna pay a network fee, that same execution will cost you 30% more on an Apple device than it would on any other device. Literally any other device. A website, an Android device, a freaking smart fridge, literally any other device will have the fees, the actual real fees, and then you would essentially get this 30% or 15% potentially upcharge in Apple, depending on the size of the app or whatever in the App Store. I think the entire notion of what Apple's trying to do is insane. I think this is an absolute outrage, and not even just from a decentralization standpoint, although that is outrageous. It is just from a standpoint of they're trying to do something that is physically impossible. They would have to be the arbiter of all applications that are on the blockchain through the App Store and have to cycle through every single one of them and work with every single, and that's the thing, we know crypto, there are plenty of freaking apps out there that people don't even know who created them. They're just out there to interact with. It's sort of a weird thing with crypto. Anybody out there can build anything, and anybody can engage with it, and anybody can build on top of it. So, and that's another thing too. What happens if one app in the App Store is passed for the fees, but another app on top of it isn't, or another derivative app under it isn't? There can be so many other means in which Apple would have to go out of their way to collaborate to be able to even try to collect these fees. And then they would have to do that on a worldwide scale. Like, would this mean that if somebody in like Singapore created an app on the blockchain, but then somebody in the US creates a interface and that interface is able to interact with their blockchain app, is it that Singapore application that has to pay the fee? Is it the application that's on the App Store that's provided in the US that has to pay the fee? It's interesting that just becomes an infinite thing. What if you have an app that has thousands of other types of apps within it, and you can interact with all these other blockchain applications within this one app? Who pays the fee to who? And it's just I don't know what's gonna happen here, but I know it's at the very least is gonna push, I guess you could say, adoption back, because as of right now, any application that I want to put out, I can't on the App Store. I've got around 2 or 3 apps that I'd like to put out, and they're nowhere near done or anything like that. But the biggest thing is, it very much worries me that all the work that I'm putting into a lot of these different things will now be worthless, especially with Apple, because I'm doing a lot with Apple especially, and working with a lot of iOS developers especially. And this right now means that any app, even if I had an app full out ready right now, ready to go right now, I couldn't launch it on the App Store because they'd repeal it because they wouldn't be able to capitalize off the fees. There's zero way I'd be able to give them the fees. There's zero way that any of the developers would be able to give them the fees. And there's almost zero way for them to even collect unless they built a fee mechanism to Apple and some sort of liquidity providing because that's the thing, people are paying the fees in crypto. So you'd have to have some other entity that provided fiat to Apple while the users are paying an extra 30% within the app. It's the whole thing is silly. And well, I guess that's just my ramble on Apple just totally messing up my day. But it's a serious thing. I don't think it's going to get that much attention because it's not like the huge thing to talk about. And it's not like this huge hype thing of like, oh my God, like how FTX may be or any of these other things. But this could literally make or break apps on iOS. You could have a whole host of applications that could exist, not exist, because Apple essentially said so. Apple just said, hey, look, either you pay us the fee or you guys can't be on the store. And there's basically no means of being, you would literally have to bring in extra third parties to be able to provide fiat payments to Apple to even get anything close to what they're asking. It's insane. And that is just for the app provider. Never mind the developers that built the blockchain applications. Like if I built the DEX, or if somebody built the DEX and I built an app and that app can utilize that DEX within the app, am I paying extra fees? Like I said, sort of what I said, am I paying fees to the DEX, to the app developer? It's just, and then if you are, it's just more expensive than any other means of participating with it, which means people will just leave Apple and go anywhere else to pay pay 30% less on the same app. It blows my mind, and personally I'm a little moved because this could very much impact anything I do. This could very much impact any of the projects that I see being released. And this can very much impact the adoption of crypto as a whole. This can be one of the things that could be, and this isn't just like a Apple things. There could be other stores trying to capitalize like this too. I think Apple's just the most vocal. But it could be things like these that really put a bottleneck in crypto. Because as of right now, there could be 100 apps ready to launch that are entirely crypto native applications that are huge. They could be the next Facebook, and they'll get taken off the App Store because there's no way of being able to pay these app fees to Apple. Literally no way. Unless you built them into the app, and then like I said, if you were to, you would have to bring in all these extra parties to provide the fiat to Apple, and it's just, it is a sad day in crypto, and I don't think people realize how sad it is. I'm crying at least, or at least I'm stressing, I'm sweating or whatever. But yeah, it's just a sad day in crypto. It's not cool. And it's something, if I could, I would very much, and I hate to say this because people hate regulation, but this is where regulation may have to take place, there may be certain rules on blah, blah, blah to be in these app stores, but to arbitrarily not be let in because of their fee structure that you would have to essentially jump through hoops to even confide to, it's just, I can't. It's just, there needs to be something done. And if I could, if I lobby or advocate or whatever towards, obviously, as much of an open internet as we can, but it's just, I don't know what we're going to do. and this is just the first. Apple's just the first. You can see stuff with the Microsoft Store, or even it could be as lame as like the Xbox Store with games or whatever. It could be any store. It's stuff like this that's going to create bottlenecks in being able to build on these new platforms because they don't operate the same way previous technologies do, and there's no clear cut. I mean, outside of like Apple just completely adopting all crypto in every capacity, having like some method of being able to like take transactions before they go out and attach fees, or some crazy means of like Apple would have to be like the biggest crypto adopter for them to essentially get what they want, and I doubt that'd be the case, and I doubt any of these other stores will essentially do that too. It's a, what is it, an immovable force, meaning a immovable object or whatever, and it's just the profits that could be that were previously being made in the old structures as opposed to these new structures coming up. And I don't know what's gonna be done. I don't know what's gonna be done. I think something like regulatory wise maybe the only way for anything equitable to be done. Otherwise these companies are just gonna run their own monopolies and only allow what applications they deem, and that's thing, they'll do it by exception. So one app may get no fees and be on the App Store and have an exception, while another app may have to pay insane fees to be on the same store. Just because, and like I said, it's already the case now. I'll link an article down. I'll link the article down in the down below so you guys can read it. But yeah, it's a sad day in crypto, and it's something that definitely needs to be talked about more, because it's at least for me, it's slowing me down, or at least it's perceiving the slowdown of things I want to see get done. But yeah, it's gonna slow down crypto. It's not good. We got to do something about this. But catch you guys later. Peace.